Terrorists are fighting for what they believe in, what they believe to be true, their values. Cartel is a f***ing transaction for money. It's harder to infiltrate somebody whose motivations are not financial.
I'm speaking from experience. I had the privilege being part of both going after Pablo. We're the guys who captured the intel that captured the Cali cartel.
The Pete Blaber hot question. If tomorrow you were tasked with eradicating the cartels, but you could only bring 5 movie actors or fictional characters, who's on your team and why? And in the most general terms, what's your weapon of choice? And what air support would you want overhead?
Wow. Well, I don't, I wouldn't go down that, I wouldn't use that approach. I wouldn't. I'd use, and you've been down there, and we're going to talk about Colombia. We've both been to Colombia, through with and by clandestine, especially in, south of the Rio Grande. If you're a gringo and you're seen in some of these places, especially now after Venezuela, they're gonna see you, they're gonna ID you. It's, you're gonna have a really hard time collecting the on the ground intel you need. I don't want to throw a damper on that. So like, if I had the 5, I don't, as soon as you said that, I was going, well, I'd take Larry. I think you just interviewed Larry. I'd take a really good shot.
Yeah.
Larry would be one of my shooters. And, I probably wouldn't take any Hollywood actors.
I wouldn't either.
Because, they're just not, again, when you go into a contentious, very sensitive area like that, like counter narcotics, where it's sensitive because, as you know, the narco traffickers are embedded in the local society. Mm-hmm. And not all of them are the rich cartel kingpins.
Some of them are the fruit stands.
Yeah, exactly.
Side of the road.
Exactly. So you start, if some of them are included, collateral damage or whatever, you've just lost the hearts and minds for further up. So you might get one cartel kingpin, but
yeah,
you're not going to clean up the cartels. So again, my advice would be go low vis, make it a clandestine. We should never say we're even, that mission is ongoing, but the infiltration should be starting right now. Obviously, Spanish speakers are a lot of 7th group guys, a lot of guys who, can blend in down there, would be needed. And I think, it would not be that hard to do some serious damage to them.
You don't think it would be?
I don't. I think if we had the intel,
how do you, when I just go to drones, marking a target, drone it.
Yeah.
Well, is that what you would do?
Well, but the drone, you'd have to know who the guy you're going for and where he's at. Mm-hmm. And if you got that, yeah, the drone would work. But again, as soon as you start that, they're going to start looking for the drones. And, we had drones, we had Predators for Bin Laden, and we couldn't find him. We couldn't find Zawahiri. We couldn't, find Mullah Omar and most of their lieutenants we couldn't find. And we had those drones flying all the time. And, a Predator is better than most of the drones that are flying today.
Is it really?
Yeah. Resolution level, flight time, the whole thing. The little ones,
have you seen these new Shield AI drones?
Yeah. Yep.
It's like 1,200 nautical mile.
Yeah.
With payload. I can't remember altitude, but it's up there.
Yeah. And then remember the thing, end of 24, the supposed drone invasion in New Jersey and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that was...
Everybody remembers that.
Well, I told you I got a cabin in the Tehachapi Mountains. And so when you look south from where I'm at on the mountain, Edwards Air Force Base is right over to the east, in the Mojave Desert there. And Edwards is where, Skunk Works is and everything else, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin. And they were doing The same tests. I could, from my cabin, I was watching, and you could see what it was. They were testing the mothership concept. So the mothership is the big drone. It's got the legs, it's got the antennas, and it's got the power to power that antenna. So, it can go farther, send signals back from farther away, but it gets to vicinity of the target, opens up its payload, and out come the mini drones. And the mini drones swarm the target or targets, and that they can go in complete silent mode because the only thing they're communicating with is directly back up to the mothership. Then the mothership aggregates it and sends it back. But I was watching that. I was watching them test that in our mountains, because they're completely, there's nobody in these mountains. They're, replete with people. That's why I jumped at the opportunity to buy land up there. There's only 80 private parcels. So
good for you.
Yeah, well, you got
awesome.
Same thing here, man. This place looks fantastic.
Yeah, but it's not surrounded by protected land. So
that was one of my prerequisites.
It's surrounded by a bunch of land that's probably going to turn into a neighborhood here pretty soon.
Yeah, then you move again.
Yep.
But you got this is really, really nice. And
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Really
so weapon of choice. What would your weapon of choice be?
It's still just a Glock 19 with the
Glock 19?
Yeah, just
nice.
a simple gun. I've dropped it in the mud many a times. I slept with it. I had it in Iraq and Afghanistan. It was my sidearm. It always functions. I got a Trijicon sight on mine, red dot sight. I can hit anything with that, out to 100 meters. And again, I've got tons of other guns.
I got you a little something.
What's that?
I got you a little something.
Oh.
Let me grab it.
Okay.
It's not a Glock. But it is,
whoa.
It's SIG's newest,
Wow. That's yours?
Squad rifle. Yeah.
Nice.
It's the MCX Spear 5.56. So I got a friend over at SIG. His name's Jason. I told him you were coming on. He got all excited. He's at SHOT Show right now. They're talking about this exact thing. But and then also
Is this the new silencer on here?
Yep. So I got a friend at Silencer Co. too. And they heard you were coming on, so they wanted to throw a can on there.
Wow.
So
who makes this?
I believe that's a SIG
Yeah.
suppressor as well.
Okay.
So the suppressor's from Silencer Co.
Yep.
The rifle's from SIG. And that's going to be the new squad rifle for supposedly all the U.S. military. But they're going to do it in this new round 6.8 too.
Wow.
But
that's awesome.
Yeah, maybe we could break that in a little bit later.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're going to send you one.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you.
Wow.
They're going to send you the exact same thing. So maybe that could be your weapon of choice.
Yeah, it will be, man.
But look good up there in the mountains.
Yeah.
But so yeah, they'll send that to you.
Oh my God. Well, tell them thank you. I'm ecstatic. It'll have a place in my hidden safe up in the cabin.
Right on. And there was one follow-up question here. So if Delta Force was unleashed on cartel leadership in real life, what's your honest timeline to dismantle them?
Again, I don't want to sound like a contrarian, but I wouldn't put a timeline on it. I one of the things I think Putin did for Russia was he never told his generals there's any time limit on, take this sector. There's no time limit on you taking it. And a lot of people don't understand that. It's the Russians have incredible strategic acumen. They always have. If you go back, read about the Eastern Front, you're amazed at what they did, how they crushed the Germans, they corps of Germans at a time, and all through their strategic acumen, they think deeply about strategy and then they implement it over time. So on the cartels, if the unit was doing it, I'd go back to what our other, the answer to the other question. I would have them lead with plenty of other guys, because you need all fluent Spanish speakers. So you're going to need to pick from a bunch of special ops units. And I would just give them, the mission would be develop the situation, get them a base somewhere they can operate. And then, I haven't looked at whether that should be, where that should be. I'm sure someone with current Mexico expertise would be able to tell us that. So have kind of a base of operation, have these guys, out working with. The tough part about it in Mexico, I think, is it's really hard to trust anyone in the Mexican military or Mexican government. And that's not a derogatory thing. It's the reality.
The way it is.
Yeah. And what we said before, same thing, you go in guns blazing and you're going to kill that guy at the fruit stand, and who's supporting a family of 6, making $100 a month or something, which is what they pay down there. And, it would backfire on us. So I just think it's an incredibly sensitive thing, and it requires an incredibly sensitive approach. And it, clandestine, as much as possible, through, with, and by, if possible. And again, my expertise in Mexico is not, current operational. So there may be some people we can trust there that have been vetted. I don't know that.
Do you feel like, I feel, just from my experience, when we're comparing cartel to terrorists, I think those are kind of apples and oranges. And here's why. I think that terrorists, the ones that you and I are accustomed to fighting to, man, I hate to say this, but it is, for lack of a better term, more respectable than a cartel member, because terrorists are fighting for what they believe in, what they believe to be true, their values. Cartel is a fucking transaction for money.
Yeah.
And so if you were to, it's harder to infiltrate somebody whose motivations are not financial.
A great point.
It is a religion to them. It is their values. It is their fucking core as a human being. But a cartel member is a prostitute. And all you have to do to win a prostitute over is pay him more money than the next guy.
Yeah, that's a great point. But that's the kind of thing. So, if the mission comes up, guys, we want you to do this. Come back and tell us what you can do. That's the kind of input, that's needed. Brainstorming, multiple thought processes on the best way to do it, and then neck it down and figure it out. And, a little bit I'm speaking from experience, because, I had the privilege of, being part of both going after Pablo, and then, we're the guys who captured the intel that captured the Cali cartel. So, and we did both of those were through, with, and by, despite what some people have said in a few books, the Colombians killed Pablo. There was the DEA guys came out and took pictures. As soon as they heard he was dead, they flew out of Bogota into Medellin, drove right to the target, and took those, happy to glad pics, which I think was a massive mistake, because they're smiling over his body. And again, part of any operational space that we enter, as you've been, you got a picture of Yemen up there, Afghanistan. You've got to respect the culture and the history of that country. And, one of the things I would just remind everyone even at further ops in Venezuela, is everybody south of the Rio Grande, grew up with Grenada, Panama, and now Venezuela. And so it was explained to me by the chief of staff of the Guyana military. We were down there doing jungle training in Guyana. And he said, well, will the helicopters fly after that? And I was like, well, they fly out, they can go around the capital city and then come back. And he goes, Peter, sit down, let me tell you something. And then he explained that to me. He said, everyone down here goes to sleep at night, and when they hear a bump, they don't necessarily think it's a criminal. They think, is this the Americans invading our country?
Wow.
Yeah, and he was very sincere about it, and I could tell by his seriousness, and I never forgot that. Part of that's a big part of what we did in Colombia, and I think it's a big part of what we'd have to do in Mexico.
No matter where you're watching the Sean Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this at all, anything, please like, comment, and subscribe. And most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, head to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and leave us a review.